Floor space, the final frontier. Once in a while, man must voyage into the unknown and boldly go where he's never wanted to go before, the cleaning cupboard, to get a bucket and mop and actually do some housework. But I say no more. Let me introduce you to the Terminator of dirty floors, the Narwhal T10. It is on a continuing mission to seek out new surfaces to clean and bacteria civilizations on your floor to wipe out. Okay, it's starting to sound a bit sinister now, but it really isn't. It really is a godsend to anybody like you, like me, who hates housework. The Narwhal T10 is the world's first self-cleaning robot mop and vacuum, and it really specializes in mopping with its two rounded triangular brush heads that spin at 180 RPM, which completes 3 rotations every single second. And it also has the ability to apply 10 newtons of downward force to assist with removing stains and dirt from crevices in your floors. And it does this making minimal noise at just 45 decibels. And let me show you what it can do, because I ran a few tests because I wasn't convinced. So I set up 5 different spillages on the floor: milk, coffee, ketchup, mud, and carrot soup. So now we're going to summon the T10 to come and clean up this mess. So I've instructed the T10 to visit the area where I made the mess and pass it 3 times using a heavy water flow on the brushes. So when finishing cleaning the area, it returns back to dock to clean its brushes. And here's what the floor looks like after the first pass. So we still got a bit of ketchup there, we still got a bit of mud there, and we still got a bit of carrot soup. As you can see, it's completely wiped out the carrot soup. The mud is still there a little bit, but the job is not done yet. It's gone back to clean its brushes one last time. So the T10 is now on its 3rd pass over the areas where the stains were, and they are pretty much 100% gone. Now, what makes the Narwhal T10 unlike any other robot vacuum mop that I've used in the past, for example my EcoVacs T8, is it doesn't need to carry a water tank around with it on its back. Instead, it returns to base periodically to rinse out the dirty water, refresh its brushes, and apply fresh water and fresh detergent to the brushes, and then continue on its mission to boldly go and scrub the floors like no man has done before. And my EcoVacs T8 robot doesn't do this. And in fact, if I don't change the pad on the T8, it will eventually start dragging around dirty water on the floors, essentially doing the opposite of what I actually want it to do. And what makes the Narwhal T10 even more hygienic is the fact that when it completes its task, it will RTB one last time to clean its brushes, and then it will use a special air filtration system that's built into the dock to dry the brush heads so that while it's in the resting state, it isn't growing any new bacteria civilizations of its own on the brushes. And it does all of this whilst you can be busy doing nothing. So let me show you how this thing works. The base station has 2 5-litre tanks on board. One is for clean water and the other tank is for the unclean water that's extracted from the brushes. And Narwhal say 5 litres is enough to clean 3,000 square feet of hard floors. And if you've got more floor space than that, you can always buy additional T10s and kind of create like this drone army that goes around and cleans your house, and you can link them all together on the app. Here's a disclaimer though, if you have hard surfaces and then carpet and then hard surfaces, or maybe a rug in the middle of a hard surface floor, you might need to set some boundaries. And there's two ways to do it. You can set virtual boundaries within the app, or you can use the magnetic strip that Narwhal provide in the box to create a magnetic force field at the edge of your carpets and rugs. And by doing this, you're telling the Narwhal T10, now, if you have carpets that you'd like the T10 to deal with, there is a vacuum attachment that comes with it, and it clicks on very easily when it's needed. And it does a decent job at vacuuming with 1800 pascals of suction power. That's 300 more pascals than my EcoVacs T8 that really specializes in vacuuming. And it's got these two sweepers that kind of flick dust towards the vacuum slot at the center so that it can beam them up and transport them on board the 430 milliliter dustbin. Just to give you some perspective, that's roughly 2 cups packed full of dust and stuff. Now keep in mind the Narwhal T10's dock doesn't have a dustbin in it, which means you will have to empty the dustbin if you're using the vacuum feature from time to time. It's worth mentioning the T10 doesn't have the rollers like we see on the EcoVacs T8, which kind of flicks dust up using these rubber strips, which Narwhal considered to be an advantage in the sense that you won't get long hairs tangled up in it, and therefore you won't have to constantly be removing the roller and cutting away debris and hair and all this other nasty stuff. So the T10 is pretty good at vacuuming, but in my honest opinion, it does feel like the Narwhal T10 has been purpose built for and specializes in mopping floors. And it does it incredibly well, as you already saw when I tested it out. And of course, the T10 is a smart home device, and it intelligently navigates your house with very little input required, minimum effort. And it does this using a rear mounted laser guidance system in the form of a rotating LiDAR sensor on its back. And this laser guidance system can map 360 degrees all around it wherever it goes. And what really impressed me about it is just how quickly the T10 can map its new surroundings if you move it around. And even if you pick it up and put it down in another room, it will detect where it is if it's scanned that room before. So let's say you want it to clean the bathroom upstairs, but there's carpet everywhere upstairs. You can put it in the bathroom, close the door, and let it do its work. Anyway, on the design side of things, there's a slam detector built into the front of it, which helps it get around tricky obstacles like chair legs and table legs, sometimes dog beds, as well as an array of sensors around its base which prevent it from face planting off a balcony or down the stairs, or diving into indoor swimming pools. And if you have one of those, then I am accepting donations. Hit the link in the description below for my PayPal. So my opinion is, aesthetically, the T10 and the dock are really nice to look at. I like the clean white finish and the purple and blue LED lights on them. The base station, although it's quite large, is actually nicely designed, no sharp edges, and it just kind of blends in, especially if you put it near a white wall. And the onboard LCD on the dock is very useful, it's colorful, it keeps you informed as to what's happening at any given time with the T10. It also gives you prompts when the water needs changing, or if you have to give the robot any assistance. Not that I've had to in my time using it, and I've been using it for a couple of weeks as well, so I'm impressed with its performance. But you'll also find manual controls on the base station as well, which are particularly handy if you don't have your phone with you. So these buttons will allow you to manually control and recall a robot whenever you want and send it on missions. And don't worry, if you have children and you're worried about them setting the Narwhal off every 5 minutes, you can child lock these buttons if you need to. And I really like the voice cues as well. The T10 is really well spoken. It has a pleasant, calming voice to it, which is definitely a bonus.
Start mopping.
Now let's talk about the app. You can map your entire home, label the rooms however you want. You can set the virtual boundaries, which I do recommend you do, especially if you've got carpet and you're mopping. But more importantly, you can set schedules. So I've got mine set to clean on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at a time when I know nobody's going to be downstairs. And when you do this, you can specify how many passes you'd like it to make in particular areas of your home. Let's say near the doors, it gets quite muddy because you're coming in from the outside with muddy shoes on and stuff like this. You can set it to pass that area 3 times and actually use extra water as well to make sure it cleans it properly. And there's also reports within the app, so you can check that is completing its missions by looking at the mission log, and there's a bunch of other customization tweaks that you can play around with in there. And when I first got it, it was incredibly easy to set up. And some people have said maybe this app is a bit more basic compared to some other robot vacuum apps, but I think there's beauty in simplicity. I just like how once it's set up, scheduled and configured, it just kind of takes care of itself. Minimum effort required, but you get maximum floor cleaning results. And this is precisely the reason why you would buy a robot mop, so that you can free up more precious time to do nothing. So please do this one thing. If you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up would make my day, and a subscribe would make my month. And I absolutely can recommend the Narwhal T10 2-in-1 robot vacuum and mop to you. And if you want to check out the most recent prices, there is an affiliate link below this video. Clicking that will help support the channel, and I appreciate you guys. And if you just subscribed, you're now one of the finest subscribers known to man. I'll see you guys in the next one, so don't be late.